Hi, my name is Samuas bin Samuel Iskandar. Today I would like to present about physiology changes during aerobic and anaerobic exercise with my group members. Okay, there are two types of changes in your body when you do exercise. Number one is acute response. Acute response means immediate response. When you do exercise, there are many disruptions in your body. Your body will do a hemostasis to make sure the function in your body will go smoothly when you do exercise. Okay, the chronic adaptation takes time changes. That means you must do exercise regularly to get a chronic adaptation. The example is your muscle mass and muscle strength will increase when you do exercise regularly. Okay, the conclusion is chronic adaptation is take time changes, and the acute response is immediate response. Okay, there are two types of exercise. Number one is aerobic and number two is anaerobic. Number one is aerobic. Aerobic is put demand on your heart, not as a cardio exercise. It is a prolonged exercise and slow twitch muscle fiber. The example of training, long distance, fartlek training and circuit training. Number two is anaerobic. Anaerobic is more to high intensity explosive and short duration exercise. It is fast twitch muscle fiber. The example of training is sprinting, weightlifting and plyometric drills. That's all from me.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Ikon bin Rahman. I will explain about metabolic response and blood pressure. Metabolic response to prolonged exercise. Exercise longer than 10 minutes. ATP production primarily from aerobic metabolism. And prolonged exercise in a hot environment or at high intensity, steady state not achieved. Upward drift in oxygen uptake over time. For metabolic response to short-term intense exercise, high intensity exercise less than 10 seconds, ATP production through ATPPC system. For intense exercise longer than 20 seconds, ATP production via anaerobic glycolysis. And for high intensity exercise longer than 60 seconds, ATP production primarily through oxidative mechanism. For metabolic response to incremental exercise, oxygen uptake increase linearly until VO2 max is reached. No further increase in VO2 with increasing work rate. For oxygen consumption uptake, it will increase during exercise in proportion to intensity. For maximal oxygen uptake VO2 max refer to the maximum amount of oxygen can be delivered to the muscle in a minute. VO2 max is the best indicator of an athlete's cardiovascular fitness and aerobic endurance. The more oxygen used during high level exercise, the more ATP can one produce. The conclusion for metabolic response is increased fuel metabolism, increased oxygen consumption, and increased production of metabolic byproducts.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Ali Azhar bin Azhar. Today I would like to explain about the heart rate, stroke volume and also cardiac output. Okay, first of all, I want to start my explanation with the heart rate. Heart rate meaning is speed of heartbeat measured by the number of contraction beats of the heart per minute. And heart rate will increase when intensity increase, and heart rate is going to plateau when doing the summer exercise. And if you want to know your heart is good, when you do exercise, you will get the lowest heart rate. So that means you have efficient of the heart. So there are few diseases of the heart rate. So first we call it as a bradycardia. That means your heart rate is too slow, fewer than 60 beats per minute. And the second we call it as a tachycardia. That means your heart rate is too fast, over 100 beats per minute. Now we go to the stroke volume. Stroke volume meaning the volume of the blood pump of the left ventricle of the heart during its systolic cardiac contraction. So the calculation of the stroke volume is between the end diastolic volume EDV minus with the end systolic volume ESV. So what is the EDV? EDV is the field volume of the ventricle before to contraction, and ESV is the balance volume of blood remaining in the ventricle after ejection. So the example of the calculation of the stroke volume is when EDV is 150 milliliters minus with the ESV 50 milliliters. So you get the stroke volume is 70 milliliters. So the causes of the stroke volume is ventricular contractility and ventricular distensibility. So to 40 until 60% maximum heart rate. So after that, stroke volume is going to plateau when reach limit. So the last one we want to talk is a cardiac output. A cardiac output means is the term that describe the amount of the blood of your heart pump each minute. So the calculation of the cardiac output is heart rate multiplied with the stroke volume. So the example calculation is when heart rate is 60 beats per minute, multiply with stroke volume is 75 milliliters. So we get the answer is 4,500 milliliters. So the linear relationship between cardiac output and intensity exercise is with going same. So when the cardiac output is going up, also intensity exercise is going up. So the last one is cardiac output increase heart rate rather than stroke volume. Thank you.
Blood pressure, there have two, systolic and diastolic. Systolic is maximum pressure and diastolic is minimum pressure. In endurance exercise, systolic blood pressure increase in proportion to increase in exercise intensity, and for diastolic blood pressure does not change significantly, may even decrease. For resistant exercise, it can exaggerate blood pressure as high as 480 per 350 beat per minute. Lower body exercise, blood pressure higher than upper body exercise. For example, blood pressure with activity leg press heavy load is higher than arm curl heavy load. That's all. Thank you.
Blood flow in cardiovascular system. Cardiac output while rest 5,000 milliliters, while exercise 25,000 milliliters. Most of the blood goes to the muscle. Blood flow pattern change in transition from rest to exercise is called vascular shunt. Sympathetic nervous system initiate blood to be redirected to the active muscle areas during exercise. Exercise activity causes the vasoconstriction and vasodilation. They are called vasomotor control. Exercise plus other demand of blood flow competition for limited cardiac. Example, exercise plus eating, exercise plus heat. Multiple demands may decrease muscle blood flow. In conclusion, during exercise, blood is redistributed to active muscle. 88% to active muscle. Decrease blood flow to inactive muscle. Same volume to the brain.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Al-Hikmah bin Hisham. I will present about arterial venous oxygen difference, plasma volume, and blood thickness. Arterial venous oxygen difference is about the extent to which oxygen is extracted from the blood as it passes through the body to transfer oxygen to the body. The difference between oxygen content of arterial blood and right venous blood will increase when the exercise intensity increases, with more oxygen being extracted from the blood. Next, cardiovascular response to plasma volume. With the onset of exercise, there is a decrease in total plasma volume leading to the intestinal fluid space. When increased exercise intensity and environment, it will cause sweating. This will cause hemoconcentration, which can block blood flow and thus limit oxygen transport. The longer we do the exercise, the greater reduction of plasma volume. For the resistance training, we will lose usually 7.7 to 13.9% of plasma volume and become more drastic in prolonged exercise. Reduction of plasma volume will impact our performance, so make sure you will rehydrate yourself. Okay, lastly is cardiovascular response to blood pH. During exercise, the pH level increase significantly to become more acidic, which is 7.4 to 7 or lower. It is because of hydrogen ion that we produce when we do exercise, but it is depend the intensity of the exercise. The 7.4 is our resting limit. I hope it will make sense, and thank you.
Respiratory response. Before exercise, increase in ventilation due to anticipation. During exercise, increase in ventilation due to mechanoreceptor in muscle and joint. After exercise, decrease in ventilation due to cessation of movement. During higher rates of work, increase in carbon dioxide production, hydrogen ion, body blood temperatures in pulmonary ventilation. At lower work intensities, increase in ventilation is mostly the result of increase in tidal volumes. At higher intensities, the respiratory rate is also increased. Ventilation increase proportional to metabolic needs of muscle. Major factors which stimulate increased ventilation during exercise include neural input from the motor areas of the cerebral cortex, proprioceptors in the muscle and joint, increased body temperature, circulating NE and NE, pH changes due to lactic acid.